Now, we have 3 examples here of factoring where a does not equal 1. In other words, the number in front of the x squared is not equal to 1. Or 0, because if it was equal to 0, it wouldn't be a trinomial. So whenever this happens, the first thing you try to do is to common factor first. And if you can common factor out that number, then life's great. Like, look at the one up here. Look at d squared. D squared minus 8d plus 15. If that had been 2d squared minus 16d plus 30, okay, I would just common factor out the 2. And then factor it just the way I did above. Okay, so always try to common factor first. So you're always going to common factor first to get a equals 1 if a does not equal 1. Okay, so we're always going to try to do that. Well, the truth is I can't, right? This is a 2, that's a 7, and that's a 5. I'm going to do this question first using decomposition. And we just had a whole video on that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create our little x. Now, the difference here when you do decomposition is you're still going to put the product up here. And you're still going to put the sum down here. But the difference is the product is going to be 2 numbers that multiply to give 2 times 5, which is actually 10. And you want it to sum to give -7. Okay? So the difference is we're going to take the 2 and the 5 and multiply them together. Now, that was happening up here, believe it or not. See this one? It was the -10 that went up here. It was actually 1 times -10. See this? The +15 went up here. It was actually 1 times +15. See over here, it was the 5 that went up here. It was actually 1 times 5. So in essence, you actually were multiplying by the 1. We just didn't say anything about it. So this is going to be 2 times 5. So the product has to be 10. And they have to sum to give -7. So those numbers are going to be, I don't know, how do you feel about 2 and 5? They need to multiply to give a positive. So they both must be negative or both positive, and they're going to add to give a negative. So there's my 2 numbers. Now using decomposition, this will be 2x squared minus 2x minus 5x plus 5. Now remember what I did there. I took that -7 and I decomposed it into the -2x and the -5x, because these 2 together give me -7x. What we do now is we factor by grouping. So I group the 2x squared and the -2x. I group the -5x and the 5. And I put a plus between them to say these 2 plus these 2 gave me the one above it. I common factor, which is a -2x out of this one, which is, do I want to take a -2x? No, let's just take a positive 2x. Let's leave the negative inside. So that's simply going to be an x minus 1. I'm going to take out a -5 here. So it's going to be x minus 1. Common factor out those binomials. And we come up with x minus 1, 2x minus 5. And ladies and gentlemen, you're done. You're done. X times 2x is 2x squared. -5x and -2x is -7x. -1 times -5 is +5. And that's called the method of decomposition. Which is a wonderful method. It's a gorgeous thing. Now, I understand that I'm going over time a little bit, but if I can finish these 2, I'm going to be able to finish off for the day. I'll assign your homework. You can go out and have lunch, and your homework will be up on the LMS for you to do, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I'll be available during period 4 just for question and answer. So let's stay together and do these last 2 examples, but then I also want to show you how to do it using Seesaw. So stay tuned. So here we go. Let's do the next one using decomposition. I want two numbers that multiply to give negative 18. That's the part you got to remember. It's the 6 times the negative 3. But to be honest with you, I would just always do 1 times 15 and 1 times negative 10 from now on. But, you know, to each their own. So two numbers that multiply to give negative 18, sum to give negative 7. How do you feel about 9 and 2? Needs to be a negative 18. So one's positive, one's negative. The bigger one needs to be negative. So how about negative 9? Does it work? 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. It works. So the decomposition is 6m squared. Take the negative 7m minus 9m plus 2m minus 3. It doesn't matter how you write those, as long as you have the negative 7 is decomposed into the negative 9 and the positive 2. Let's group them. So I'm going to take the first two and put them in a group. I'm going to take the second two and put them in a group. I'm going to put a plus that says these two plus these two give me what's above. I'm going to common factor out a 3m. 2m minus 3. I'm going to common factor out nothing. I'm now going to common factor out the binomials. It's going to leave me with a 3m. And remember, don't forget the plus 1, because I took this term and divided it by 2m minus 3. Let's check to see if we're right. 2m times 3m is 6m squared. 2m plus 1 times 1 is 2m. Minus 9m is negative 7m. Minus 3. It works using decomposition. Awesome! Let's do the last one with decomposition. We make our x. We look for two numbers that multiply to give 6 and sum to give negative 5. How do you feel about... Well, this is where it's interesting. It could be 2 and 3. It could be 2 and 3. If it was a negative 2 and a negative 3 that multiply to 6, they'd add to give 5. It could also have been 1 and 6, but it wouldn't have worked. If you tried 1 and 6, take a look. If you tried 1 and 6, then to be able to give you the positive 6, they'd both have to be positive. But to get the negative 5, it wouldn't work for you. So you would have noticed that these guys didn't work out, and then you'd have to keep looking. And eventually, hopefully, you'd get the 2 and the 3. Using decomposition, 3x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 2. Okay, so now we're going to put those in groups. It'll be 3x squared minus 2x in a group. And it's going to be negative 3x plus 2 in a group. And the plus sign just says that these two groups give me what I had up above. Common factor out an x. It'll leave me with 3x minus 2. Now this is close. This is close, but it's not 3x minus 2. This is negative 3x plus 2. So we're going to common factor out a negative. And that'll leave me with a positive 3x minus 2. So that changed the signs inside here. And we'll common factor out the binomial. And let's see if it works. 3x times x is 3x squared. Negative 3x. Negative 2x is negative 5x. Negative and negative is positive 2. And it worked. Now, this method is decomposition. We're going to do those 3 questions one more time using seesaw, which again, only BT uses. Nobody else uses it. It's a great method. I do it. I love it. But nobody else uses it. So we need to be good at it. And we need to be able to do different methods as well. So, using seesaw. This is what seesaw does. You put a bracket and a bracket. You put the 2 in front of this bracket. You put a 2 in front of this bracket. And you notice that if you do 2x times 2x, you're going to get 4x squared, which is too much because we only want 2x squared. So you divide by 2. Now, once again, that number goes like that. Okay? So you get a 2x over a 2. Now, the next example we're going to do is going to be 6m squared minus 7m minus 3. So let's see how this one would match up. You would do a 6m over top of a 6. Because if you did 6m times 6m, you get 36m squared, which is too much. So you divide by the 6. And so the next step is to find two numbers that multiply to give 10. And again, it's this cross again that we're talking about. Multiply to give 10, add to give negative 7. Well, those numbers are negative 2 and negative 5. So what we do is we take a negative 2 and we put it in here. We take a negative 5 and put it in here. We common factor. This is a 2 and a 2. So that'll common factor out a 2, leaving me with x minus 1, 2x minus 5, all over 2. This 2 and this 2 will reduce, leaving you with x minus 1, 2x minus 5. Let's see if it works. X times 2x is 2x squared. X times negative 5, negative 5x. Wait a second, did I do something wrong? Negative 5. No, I did it right. Ha ha ha. Negative 5x and negative 2x is negative 7x and plus 5. It works. This is the way. Oh, I sound like the Mandalorian. This is the way. This is the seesaw method. And it's called the seesaw method because it kind of looks right here like two kids sitting on a seesaw. It kind of does. Now, what most people do wrong on the seesaw is they forget to put the 2 on the bottom or the 6 on the bottom, which means if you forget this 2 on the bottom or the 6 on the bottom, you don't have a seesaw anymore. You have two dumb kids sitting on a piece of wood on the grass, right? So if you forget the 2, you don't have the seesaw method. You've got two dumb kids sitting on a piece of wood on the grass, and that's just silly. So don't forget the number on the bottom. That's what makes it a seesaw. Okay? So let's take a look at this example. I've got a 6, I got a 6, I put the 6 on the bottom. I need two numbers that multiply to give negative 18, but sum to give negative 7. I'm thinking 9 and 2. I'm thinking negative 9 and 2. So I'll put negative 9 here, and I'll put the 2 here. Common factor. I'm going to common factor a 3 out, which is 2m minus 3. I'm going to common factor a 2 out, which is 2, 3m plus 1, all over top of 6. Well, 3 times 2, the order of multiplication doesn't matter. 3 times 2 is 6, divided by 6, leaves us with 2m minus 3, 3m plus 1. Let's see if it works. 2m times 3m is 6m squared. Positive 2m minus 9m is 7m. And negative 3, it works. The very last one, and the last thing we need to do today, is 3x squared minus 5x plus 2. We'll do this one using seesaw. So it's a 3x, and a 3. You forget that 3, and it's two kids sitting on a piece of wood on the grass. You want two numbers that are going to multiply to give 6, two numbers that are going to sum to give negative 5. I'm thinking 2 and 3. I'm thinking negative 2 and negative 3. Negative 3, negative 2. Common factor out the 3. So Sarah, this is the this is the method that's completely new to you probably. It's called seesaw method. It's kind of nice. I like decomposition too. X times 3x is 3x squared. Negative 2x, negative 3x is negative 5x. Negative and negative is positive 2. And I suggest for my grade 11 students that you learn both. And when I say suggest, I'm saying learn both. So be able to do all 3 questions during seesaw and be able to do all 3 questions using decomposition, be able to do simple trinomials using the shortcut, and be able to do it using decomposition. I'm going to stop the video now. I'm going to post your homework on the LMS, and that'll be it for today. Okay, before you guys go,